So, there's a question that comes to my mind, how can metaverse technology be used to create an immersive and interactive learning experience for students or for, at colleges or at research institutes? How is this technology, like with the use of AR, VR and mixed reality, changing the face of how we, consume information and how we learn things at a university or at any other institution?
All right. I would like to start by talking about the importance of education and learning how to learn, as Jim Quick puts it together. It is extremely important nowadays to learn by example, and that has become a way of learning that has influenced so many people and has really proven to be the quicker, the faster, the better way of learning. And with the metaverse, it is insanely possible to learn by example because you're creating immersive spaces. People who are studying history, for example, they're talking about the Romans, the Roman Empire, or the pyramids of Giza and the Egyptian culture. You could be immersed in the story and be part of the story and live it as though you were there. And that way you're learning. And it's much more appealing to the younger generations who find the normal education systems boring and uninspiring.
I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, just the thought of immersing myself and, even for example, let's say if you're learning to be a doctor and the fact that you would be able to, perform an operation like, in a simulation in a more realistic and mixed reality environment would help you to, grab more knowledge and sort of like it would help you to, imbibe that into your muscle memory a lot faster as compared to the traditional models, right? Aditya, what do you have to say about this? I mean, what do you think about this?
Yeah, so immersive education, the use of immersive reality in education, of course, is a primary use case that Metaverse is also working towards. One, because it serves a larger audience at a younger age, and the younger audience is more ready to adapt to new technology and all of that. So I feel that a question, I mean, there are so many pros I can talk about this space, and the list goes on, and I think we're going to dive deeper into that as well. But one distinction which I want to draw from the beginning, I think this question gets raised a lot of times, is that say simulations have always been there, right? Most pilots train before they get an actual license and fly a plane in a simulation and an environment like that, which is very realistic, very dynamic to deal with. So the use case has been proven in these in certain skills. The use in education is also being incorporated. What Metaverse brings on top of virtual reality is that you can actually create a sense of identity, and the blockchain and NFT technology provides all that technology for you to have an identity, store information, have trackability of what you were doing. So there can be proof of work, there can be certification and everything. So the entire ecosystem can fit into the education ecosystem, can fit into the Metaverse via the use of blockchain and NFTs. So that is an added dimension on top of what VR headsets were providing earlier.
Yeah,
I would just like to hop in here and add something to this pillar specifically, and that is what Niket was talking about. Gamification is extremely important because, as I was stating, learning by example is a proven method of efficient learning. You can operate through a VR headset and the gamified experience. You can do scientific lab work in most cases where it's dangerous to do. You can do it through the gamified experience. Also, flight simulation and everything else can become even more gamified, more simulated for real life situations, such as a plane being taken hostage, for example, and what should be done there by the flight attendant, by the pilot. So yeah, gamification is an extremely important pillar within the advancement of learning. on the
Yeah,
metaverse.
and the fact that, you could be rewarded, like, where you could get the rewards in return, and you could potentially own that across the digital space. And, it motivates you to keep pushing, and to, even if you fail at one particular task or anything, any skill that you're trying to learn, even if you fail, you get to, do it again and again till the time you actually nail it. And because of which you sort of get rewarded. So I think that is a big motivational factor in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to the next question that, I had was, how can metaverse technology be used to facilitate, collaboration and communication between students and teachers?
All right. The way this can be done is, and we got used to this during the pandemic. If you remember, when we had almost 2 years of education over Zoom and Microsoft Teams and Google Classrooms and so on, where education wasn't really that easy to grasp and that easy to teach. Whereas now in the metaverse, as I like to call it, a virtual parallel to the reality we're in, you have the ability to be with these people virtually, to interact with these people virtually. And there are a lot of metaverses that allow for that to happen, such as spatial.io, for example, where you go in, you create your avatar, you have your space, you design it the way you want it to be, and then you're in there. The students can interact with their teacher, the students can interact with each other. And I know the metaverse is not perfect yet. It hasn't reached the hyper realism that it will reach later on, but it's showing a lot of promise on that level.
So Aditya, you're an artist as well. I mean, I'm sure like you sort of agree with Salman here, and if you have any points that you'd like to add here.
I think art as a use case in the metaverse still needs to be defined how we are going to use it. How artists are approaching it is basically they try to learn about NFTs first. And then, because digital art was one of the primary use cases of when NFTs came, and now NFTs are being used for 100 other things. But then as an artist, I think in this space, people are trying to first mint some NFTs, or try to build a collector base, then go do a gallery show in the metaverse, display them virtually, invite people, use video, audio, and all of that. On top of that, I think while metaverses are being built and adopted by the masses, there is still more that needs to be defined how an artist will play a role in the metaverse ecosystem. There are artists who are commissioned to design a particular metaverse that I've seen, but individual creators, they are still, I think, focusing more on the NFT use case and showcasing those NFTs in the metaverse in a gallery.